Sorry, English isn't my first language. So I F26 been with my fiancé M26 for 2 years and 6 months ago moved to his home country. I stayed at home for 3 months self-learning Swedish and finally now I'm comfortable to speak it around, and I understand conversations and stuff. At work everyone speaks English, but now during social gatherings with family and friends I'm trying to be less shy and speak up, even if my Sweden is broken. We were having an after work with my fiancé and his colleagues and I mispronounced a word, and he made a joke back quote she is a work in progress. Then I made another mistake, and he said back quote well, should we switch to English, so you won't keep embarrassing yourself? And all his colleagues laughed. I got annoyed and answered in Swedish back quote well, when you manage to speak 7 languages, like I do you will be allowed to make fun of me, at least. I'm trying. Now excuse me, and I left without saying goodbye to anyone, so that's when I think I was rude and kinda cocky. My fiancé got home saying I humiliated him and made a fool of myself in front of his colleagues. So am I the R? Should I have played along? Edit. I'm trying to reply to most comments. I just want to thank you for all the positive and good input. I really needed it. Thank you so much. Do you know what a foreign accent is? It's a sign of bravery. AmItheAsshole. NTA. That was really a halashifim. Totally agree. I had a fellow teacher mock a child's English, not in her hearing thank goodness. I asked the teacher how her Vietnamese was. NTA. Your fiancé tried shaming you in front of his friends, not once, but twice. He's definitely the jerk in this scenario, and in all 7 languages that you speak. I'm so livid, I don't even want to see these people again, and I feel childish for this. I can't wait until I can master Swedish and get my language certificate, and from it, I can learn Danish and Norwegian, so I can tell him I speak 10 languages lol jk. NTA. He humiliated you and expected you to sit there and take it? He could have asked if you would be more comfortable if they all switched to English instead of insulting you with the suggestion. So, really, he humiliated himself when his partner wouldn't accept being treated like a jerk by him. I kept scrolling down until I found the comment that said he humiliated himself. Because that's what he did. You simply pointed it out. Before you moved to Sweden, did you ever make fun of his English language ability/accent? If you did, turnabout is fair play, and if you didn't, he's just an R. Hey op, I'm Swedish. My mother is not, so her Swedish isn't perfect, albeit really good. I was born and raised here in Stockholm and I know many foreigners. I live with one as well. So I know when I'm talking about when I say the following. It's extremely uncommon for Swedish people to laugh at foreigners who are trying to learn the language. Swedish might seem easy but it's not. Your NTA. I would however reconsider your relationship if I were you. Det LTER normaligen som att du tillsammans med ett RVHL. Hit me up if you're in SDHLM and want to hang out with more normal, accepting Swedes. I'm a female in my 30s. I will follow you. Jag skulgorna vilja haflavorna ry SDHLM. NTA. Nobody should be ever made fun of if he/she is trying to learn a new language. Nor should you feel ashamed to make mistakes whilst speaking that new language. When my wife was learning my language, I was supportive and just corrected her in private. Never did I use her mistakes as possibility to make cheap jokes in social occasions. I mean, what kind of an R does that? It seems especially weird for people who are already bilingual to do this. Very few people are fortunate enough to grow up in a multilingual household. Even people who grow up bilingual, but their household was majority one language, go through a learning phase. NTA. As someone who grew up in Sweden, I have the privilege of being able to pronounce certain sounds that doesn't occur in other languages and that are super hard to learn if you weren't taught to pronounce them as a kid. I have several friends who've lived here for years and they still struggle with pronouncing certain words. It's Swedish as a language that's the problem, not you. Kudos for standing up to them. Also, Swedish banking guys in their 20s usually suck, especially those from Stockholm. Based on your comments I can see that you've managed to find some real gems. I swear I found an actual gem. College in Texas and Stockholm born. These finance guys think they are royalty just because they are overpaid. Anyone who makes less your 100k yearly are rubbish for them lol. NTA. Also, I have to warn you about Swedes, and no I'm not making this up, they put banana on pizza. You should come to Norway instead. I'm Italian, you don't understand my pain. Honestly I just came back from Svalbard/Oslo, say no more. Norwegians have a soft spot in my heart. He jokes at your expense, in front of his friends, when you're clearly making an effort, and you move to another country for him. NTA. I think he knows how much better she could do than him, and it makes him insecure. He's purposely trying to tear her self-esteem down, so she has to work harder to please him, and won't have the confidence to leave. I'm learning my husband's native language, and I do my best to speak it. Whenever we are with his friends and family, they correct me, because I ask them to. They may laugh when I say something unintentionally funny, but they explain the joke. None of them, *NONE*, would ever laugh *AT* me for an honest mistake. NTA. Your husband is mad because you called out his cruelty in public. He's an asshole, and I'm furious on your behalf. Yes, I'm fine with nice correcting, but not making uncomfortable jokes. Also you probably understand me more than anyone. It's so satisfying when you start to understand conversations in their native language and can participe without having to make people translate or speak English. I'm trying my hard, but as a shy and introvert person sometimes it is hard. NTA. If he's that easily humiliated he should be used to it. Another day on ATA, another asshole fiancé throwing out a parade of red flags. You're NTA, but I would heavily consider picturing exactly how happy your future is going to be with a guy who not only seems ungrateful that you've made the huge sacrifice of moving to his home country and learning the language, but is actively looking for opportunities to belittle and humiliate you in front of people. Spoiler alert, you're going to be desperately miserable if you stay with this man. It is honestly a little disheartening to see how many women end up here, wondering if they're assholes for not wanting to tolerate their shitty BF/husband's abuse. NTA. He embarrassed you first in front of everyone, and made you trying your best into a joke. He's an asshole. Are those people who laughed at you Swedes? I worked on some projects for our Swedish office and all the people I met were really nice about my language. They teased me a little bit. I'm also a woman working in it, but in a very sweet and not offensive way. No one I've met in Sweden ever made me feel bad about my basic Swedish. I don't think it's in their DNA. Swedes are really nice. Somehow my fiancé's friends are all banking finance guys and well they are a bit cocky, so they're a different kind of Swedish. Outside of my fiancé's friends they are very kind too. NTA. He humiliated you so, in turn your reaction was appropriate. I'm sorry, but what? You taught yourself Swedish in 3 months? Unless your native language is Norwegian, that's an insanely incredibly feat, and even if your native language is Norwegian, it's pretty damn impressive. NTA. You go girl. You're a complete linguistic rockstar. Find a man who deserves you and respects you when you try your best to fit in. If you were saying things that were unknowingly embarrassing, he could have easily switched the conversation to English with no comment whatsoever. Instead he chose to demean you in front of his friends. This is not the sign of a man who respects your work in learning his language in 12 goddamn weeks. Eater, you're also NTA because he said you embarrassed him and made him look like a fool after you responded to him literally doing the same exact thing to you. In another comment Op joked she was going to learn Norwegian next. I envy Op's brain tbh. NTA. Your fiancé is an asshole. I hope he doesn't try to humiliate you or degrade you often. Okay, well I'm German and this language is a horrible nasty for to learn. I think the Scandinavian languages are quite comparable in that regard. So if anybody exposes themselves to the ordeal of learning these languages, there's respect due, nothing less. NTA. I'm American and I'm shocked so much of the world has agreed to learn my absurd native language. I'm impressed by everyone who knows more than one language, because I sure don't, despite trying several times. You really speak in 7 languages. Wow, you must be proud, and your fiancé too. Instead of shaming you, he should brat about you like Hey, you know she speaks in 7 language. Espero que español si uno de esos 7 idiomas. Sin orgulloso de tener esos conocimientos y no permitas que el terminal por cometer errores cuando lo más probable el solo sabe habla un idioma. NTA. Gracias por tus amables palabras. Hablo español porque uno de mis idiomas nativos es el portugués. Me encanta la cultura española. NTA. My BFF speaks 4 languages, currently studying her 5th. She doesn't speak perfectly in any of them, but definitely well enough to get by. One of those languages happens to be one I'm very good at. You know what happens if she makes a mistake? Nothing. If she asks, I help. You know what happens when we are in a group setting? I rave about her. Cause she freaking learned all these languages. She is a badass. I only know 2. Same goes for anyone speaking my language. When I don't know this, they apologize for their mistake and I go thrustly, you're way ahead of me, cause I still can't speak your language at all, and here we are communicating. Be with someone who admires you and doesn't feel small when you shine. Way more fun. NTA. Your fiancé was making fun of you in public. If that didn't work out the way he wanted, then that's his problem. Do you want to be with someone who thinks they have the right to laugh at you this way? Not even a little tiny bit. He had it coming. NTA. Good for you calling him out. He was being rude. Just because he thought it was funny doesn't mean it wasn't offensive and insulting. NTA. He embarrassed himself with his stupid comment. It's quite obvious to everyone who bothered to learn any foreign language that mistakes happen, and it's not something to laugh about. In fact, you should admire a person who is comfortable enough to practice their freshly learned skill like that. Your fiancé doesn't exactly sound like the most supportive partner, so I'd reconsider if it's really a person you're willing to spend your life with. NTA. NTA. But I demand info. What are the 7 languages? Italian, Brazilian, Portuguese, Spanish, German, French and English, and Latin, but it is a dead language, haha.